If you want to vote no, that's your choice. But these proposals deserve a vote. Because in the 2 months since Newtown, more than 1,000 birthdays, graduations, anniversaries have been stolen from our lives by a bullet from a gun.
I don't understand it. The purpose of the United States Senate is to debate and to vote and to let the people know where we stand.
So you'd encourage Republicans not to filibuster?
I would not only encourage it, I don't understand it.
Virginia Tech. I mean, I can list off other incidents that are similar, but it pretty much sums it up. If I'm sitting in a classroom and I'm not carrying, somebody comes in there, there's nothing you can do. People are talking about assault weapons right now, and he didn't have one. People are talking about extended magazines, he didn't have one. He had a gun, and nobody else in that room did. And allowing one person, if that person wasn't the first to get shot, he has a chance to shoot back. And if there's two people, that's two different chances to shoot back. There weren't any. He went into one classroom and shot almost everybody. He then went to another classroom and shot almost everybody. No one could do anything.
If you want a protect and expanded right to keep and bear arms, you have to base it on some common reason for people owning guns. Self-protection is it. How often guns are used defensively is not really an issue that has any bearing on the constitutional issue of what the framers of the Constitution's original intent behind the Second Amendment was. Because if you pass really extreme prohibition type gun control, it means taking away guns from tens of millions of people who would have used them for self-protection and prevented injury and property loss. And so it's relevant to the issue of should we have gun prohibition, whether it's relevant to the issue of how we should interpret this 1790 Second Amendment or not. That's what I have my doubts about.
This is a problem. It's not a problem. When I go for a stretch, that's the way I think.
Yeah.
Strong support of the Second Amendment. It's our right to, own these. So.
Many of us don't need a wife. Most of us have one. And many of us don't need a car, but we have one. It's a question of want. As an American citizen, if I want this, I should be able to get it. It's in our Constitution.
Clearly, I'm opinionated. This is kind of like my therapy. This is how I get to speak out. I print all these. I don't buy these. I print them. They say a lot of things that need saying. The current hysteria that you're referring to is exactly that. It's hysteria. The various and sundry laws that have been advanced, proposed, are clearly infringements on our Second Amendment. I gave my daughter, she just turned 21 this year, I gave her, because she's now legal to own her own gun, I gave her her own personal protection sidearm. That's dad loving his daughter. What the hell? Should I do a background check to give a gift to my nephew when he graduates West Point? Or a background check to give my daughter a personal protection sidearm? Come on, get serious.
All it means is a little inconvenience in having to travel to the nearest gun store. Now, I favor extending the background checks to private transfers because it is the way a lot of criminals get guns. And so it would at least make it a little more difficult for a criminal to acquire a gun if they knew they had to go through a background check and they were going to fail the background check, even if they bought the gun from a friend or relative. You ought to take gun control as far as it'll do some good and then stop. Mm-hmm. And is it possible to do that? Of course, we've done it already. That's exactly what we've been doing for the last 60 years. We go this far and then we stop.
We have a German TV station here.
Oh, really?
They're running around in there too. They're trying to understand why we Americans think like we do. That's strange coming from them because it's already happened to them.
That's not right. That's called socialism. It's called communism. America is not a socialist country. So to give up my rights is un-American.
I'm William Eggs. I'm state attorney for the 2nd Judicial Circuit, and I think the fact that private citizens can have guns will end the tyranny of government.
Bullshit. It's treason. to use a gun against your government. Are you trying to tell me the founding fathers of this country were so goddamn dumb they wanted to conduct government with guns pointed at their heads? This is insane. No country in the world could have survived with that kind of language in their Second Amendment, including ours, because it's not there. The whiskey and the shay rebellion. You know what happened here? People got angry at the government to come out with their guns. So what did the 13 states do, which they were at that time consolidated? They sent out their well-regulated militia. But once you lift up that gun and point it at somebody, that's insurrection, and that's a crime. Every county used to have nuisance laws about people using guns, crowds forming with guns, or guns at nightclubs and stuff like that, where the police could use those nuisance laws and come in and break it up. They've lost all those. Now they can't post their property at all, no guns. They're telling me I can't post my property, no guns? That's not right. You know, that's a violation of basic rights in this country that the NRA has stripped away. When I say things are passed by the NRA, you have to remember they were passed by the Republicans in the state for the NRA.
Most people that are involved as members of the NRA, I'm a member, it's because this core freedom issue is a basic issue that everything else emanates from. It's the right that protects all other rights. I think it's because they reflect the will of most people. It's not just their membership, it's the fact that they articulate a viewpoint that freedom-loving Americans believe in. And they feel very strongly.
I'm a registered Democrat. I grew up a conservative Democrat. I was a Democrat when Democrats were conservative. I haven't left the party. The party left me. My name's Marion Hammer. I represent the National Rifle Association and Unified Sportsmen of Florida. And I believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the entire Bill of Rights, including and most particularly the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. I was president of the NRA for 2.5 years. It doesn't have to do with guns. It's a cultural thing. I mean, people are killed in other countries with other things where they don't have guns. People who are prone to violence are going to commit violence regardless of whether they have guns or something else. If incarceration isn't the fear, at least incarceration is certainly a deterrent. And we have a lot of empty prison beds.
She wins all the time. Look what she did on the Stand Your Ground law. She just walked right through the legislature. They practically pushed it through in less than 3 days.
There are people who claim that the number of justifiable homicides has increased dramatically since Stand Your Ground and Castle Doctrine was passed. That was supposed to happen. Law-abiding people exercising lawful self-defense were not supposed to now be arrested, prosecuted for doing what they had every right to do. That's justifiable homicide. So the difference is now when people exercise lawful self-defense, it's justifiable homicide instead of being charged with manslaughter or murder or some other crime. So statistically, the good guys are winning.
It's not his buddy, it's the guy he had the confrontation with in the bar. Rather than that guy driving on, he backs up, you talking to me? And they get into it again. Sitting in the front seat of the car is a drunk with a pistol in his hand. And so they're jawing outside the car, and he looks in and sees the pistol and leans in and says, "What you gonna do, man? Shoot me?" And he shot him right between the eyes and killed him. Now, Stand Your Ground says that when he leaned his head into the car, he was in the commission of a forcible felony. You're entitled to use deadly force to prevent or terminate the commission of a forcible felony. And I had to, we won at the trial level, and they appealed it to the First District Court of Appeal, and they said, nope, stand your ground. And now I got to call the mother and say, sorry, your son came up here and got himself killed, but it was a legal killing.
This is a right to commit murder bill. What are you doing? Nobody in judiciary, nobody in law enforcement, nobody anywhere was saying what's going on here. They did everything they could do to prevent that from passing, including Willie Meigs and the Association of Prosecutors. They did everything they could. They passed it anyway because they knew it was a lie.
Truthfully, I kind of feel sorry for him. It's such an unequal struggle. Support for gun control is a mile wide but an inch deep. Lots of people support it, moderate controls anyway, but they each support it fairly weakly, whereas the opposition is narrow but deep, bone deep. The difference is that the opponents really oppose gun control, and they're willing to show up at county commission meetings and city commission meetings. They're willing to write to their congressmen and send emails. So that intense opposition is what influences politicians. They believe, probably correctly, that a lot of people will vote on the basis of where they stand on the issue. And the folks who will use gun control positions as a kind of deciding matter, should I vote for or against this guy, most of those folks are anti-control. That's where the NRA gets its support.
Justifiable use of deadly force. 15-year-old dead. I think that's wrong. But the National Rifle Association and the Florida legislature thinks that's just perfect.